Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and in this video I want to talk to you guys about tier lists for cars in GTA because it's something that I've had in my mind for a long time to do, ever since I really did lap time and top speed testing. The idea of combining that testing alongside real world experiences with cars in racing situations to create lists of cars that can be used against each other, and so it's easier to determine which vehicles you certainly can't compete with other vehicles with. Now, you may be familiar with tier lists. They're pretty common in various competitive video game scenarios. I'm pretty sure they started with fighting games, but essentially you've got the S tier, which is at the very top. That's sort of the best thing to use, the best character in a fighting game. Then you've got, going down the list in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, E, down as far as you need to go, with obviously the very last tier being the worst vehicle or worst character or worst whatever it is to use. And you know, you can very rarely compete, and that idea can quite easily translate to GTA, and specifically GTA Racing, with the cars that are available within each class. So I have to give a big thank you to JJ and the Jazz crew, because they did a lot of the base work on this, but it's something that, like, it's an idea that I've had for so long to do this and basically take all my testing and create an overall list. And that's what I've managed to do. I've taken their work, sort of made it official. I've brought in a few other people who can, from the racing community, who can sort of consult on it as well, and make sure that we continually iterate on these lists to make sure that they're up to date when new vehicles come out, as well as being accurate for most situations in GTA. So this is all hosted on my website, so if you now go to bruffy.com/GTA5cars, which I'll leave a link to in the first line of the description down below, that page will give you it's basically a new page on my site that has everything to do with GTA 5 car performance. You've got a link to my vehicle info spreadsheet, which contains all my lap times and top speeds, alongside all the other information that you need when it comes to costs of vehicles, where you can get them, number of seats, drivetrains, even the very detailed handling data directly from the game. It's all in that spreadsheet. I've had that spreadsheet for years now, but it's the first thing on that page, and you can just go straight to that page to get to it if you ever need to. It's also got a link to my spreadsheet on GTA 5 vehicle costs analysis that I did and keep up to date, which goes in depth on how much you'd have to spend to have one of every single vehicle in the game for all of the garage space that you can have. And then a new section of that area is the idea of GTA 5 racing tier lists. So there's one of these for every normal raceable class in the game. I haven't done planes, helicopters, motorcycles, things like that. I'm not saying that won't come, but for the first release, we just wanted to focus on sort of regular cars, I guess you could say. And I guess I'll use the supercars class as an example to show you what it's like. And then there's basically a tier list for every single class. So when it comes to the supercars, you can see at the very top we've got Class S. That's the Emirates, Krieger, S80 and Wagner. Now you may be wondering why the S80 and the Wagner are in the S class, when most situations you'd probably be using the Emirates or the Krieger, certainly based on their lap time. Well, it's because the S80 and the Wagner are too quick to be put in the A class, and they're not so far away from the top two in the S class that they need their own subclass as well. So the preference with these tier lists is to have multiple vehicles at the top of a subclass. Now, that may mean that it's better to have one vehicle that's at the bottom of a subclass that's slightly off the pace of the others, rather than have one vehicle that's slightly quicker. So we'd rather have, say there's a subclass of 5 vehicles, we'd rather have 4 vehicles that are at the very top and can be competitive with each other, and one vehicle that's maybe a tenth or 2/10 of a second slower, than have it the other way around, where 4 vehicles are competitive but there's one that's a few tenths of a second quicker. So that's the sort of theory behind the class allocation, and like I said, it takes into account my lap times, my top speeds, all the testing that I've done with that, as well as community feedback from those who are racing often as well with all these different vehicles, in addition to just trying to create the best experience by having as many vehicles as close together as possible, so you can look at these tier lists. If you're in a race with a group of people, you can say let's use Supers B, and you can choose any vehicle from the Supers B class, and you can be relatively competitive. Now keep in mind that it does vary based on the track, so there's going to be some tracks that are going to suit other vehicles more than others. Stunt circuits, for example, are rather different, or tracks with lots of tight corners or lots of long straights. It's going to vary obviously, but as always with everything, we can only do the best generalization that we can, and these will be mostly accurate for balanced circuits with a good mix of corners and straights and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, as you can see, the S tier, the top tier, Emirates, Krieger, S80 and Wagner, all of the cars within each tier on the site are listed alphabetically. Obviously, if you want to see their actual lap times and top speeds, you can do that in the videos or on the spreadsheet. This is more to combine it all together. So then we move to Class A, which contains the Autarch, the Devest 8, the RE7B, Thrax, XA21 and Zarusso. So the idea is that you can load up a race, say let's use Supers A. You can go to the site, you can check what is in Supers A, and you can use any one of those 6 vehicles, and everybody else in the race can also use any one of those 6 vehicles, and you can be guaranteed to have a competitive race where you don't have someone who's in a Krieger who's just miles quicker than everybody else. If this is obviously, it requires some organized level of racing to be able to do this. You can't just do this in random lobbies, but in general, it's an easier way to do that, where you can just go to the site, check the list of cars and choose what you want. Obviously, Class B for the supercars, we've got the ETR1, the Furia, the Nero Custom, the Osiris, T20, Tempesta, Tyrant, Tyrus, Vision, X80 Proto and Zentorno. So quite a lot of vehicles in Class B for supers. And this kind of shows what we are sometimes missing out on, and especially in some of the other classes where there's 1 or 2 vehicles at the very top that always get used because they're so much quicker than everything else. But as soon as you look past those top few vehicles, there's a lot of vehicles that are very, very close in terms of lap time, in terms of performance, and if you limit yourself to that selection, you can have a wide variety of cars with a wide variety of differences in handling and the way that they are, and have a really good race between many different cars, and that's what these tier lists are trying to do. Same goes for Class C. For the Supers class, we've got the Cyclone, Entity, FMJ, Italy GTB and GTB Custom, the regular Nero, Penetrator, Reaper, Tesseract and Turismo R. A lot of vehicles that are very close in terms of performance that would normally never get used because they're outclassed by everything that's in the S tier or above. Again, you can also play around with this, where you could all start in S-class vehicles, the winner of the race drops down to A, then the winner of the next race drops down to A as well, or if the same person, he drops down to B, or you have multiple different people sort of choose different classes based on their previous results and try to win in worse cars, sort of like a balancing of performance, if you like, if there's always a few people who are quicker than others, and make it more interesting that way. When we go on to Class D for the supercars, we've got the 811, the Cheetah, Entity XXR, GP1, Infernus, SC1 and Vaca. So even there, all the way down in the D class of supercars, you're never going to use any of these vehicles to beat anything in the S class in a regular random race. But if you just restrict yourself to the D class, you've got 7 vehicles there that are all very different to each other, that are all very competitive and on the same level of performance. In Class E, you've got the Adder, the Banshee 900R, the Sultan RS, the Taipan and the Voltic. Again, same story. And then in Class F, of course, you've only got the Bullet. That is the very worst out of all of these. The Bullet is so slow that it can't even be competitive with the vehicles that are in Class E. So that's an example of how it works for the Supers class. Now there's these tier lists for all the classes: sport, the sports class, muscle, sports classics, coupes, sedans, SUVs, compacts, vans, just as for vans, and the off-road class as well. There is one for open wheels, but that's that's just 2 vehicles at this point, but it's there anyway. And you can access all of this from Broughy.com/GTA5cars, or if you want to go to a specific class, you can do Broughy.com/GTA5supers, GTA5 sports, GTA5 muscle. You can also just do GTA, that will get you there as well. You don't need the 5, you can just do Broughy.com/GTA SUVs, and it will get you to the SUVs tier list straight away as well. I have also included the racing tiers on the spreadsheet on the key vehicle info sheet. It's just that they're not organized by class. It's more for information when it comes to the sheet. So, if you're looking at cars to buy and you're wanting to buy, I don't know, an Entity XXR, and you see that it's in class D for a ridiculous price, whereas you could get a Wagner that's in class S for much cheaper, it's easier to see on the spreadsheet where you've got all the information there when it comes to costs of vehicles, where to get them, things like that. And then these tier lists on the site are for when you're actually wanting to do some racing and you restrict yourself to, class B in supers or class H in sports. Sports has a lot of vehicles, so there's a lot of classes. But this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I've finally been able to sort of make it official and get it sorted such that we can actually have subclasses. And it would be nice if this was the sort of thing that was just a thing in the game. You could restrict to certain types of vehicles and it was based on performance rather than just putting a load of cars into the sports class and dealing with it. Obviously that's the way that Rockstar does it, and maybe having Sports A, Sports B, Sports C, Sports D, Sports E might get a bit confusing for the random person who plays GTA. But for those of us who like to race, you can now have a list of all the classes, all the subclasses for every class as well. There isn't an overall tier list for all vehicles in the game because that would be a little bit too much, I think. But at least when it comes to specific class racing, you can restrict yourself and restrict your racing to a subclass. You can even try to win premium races in class B supercars or class E sports cars or something like that, just for a bit of fun. And this is sort of the official list that will continue to get updated as new cars are updated, as new cars are released, as performances change, as ideas change, as more experience gets done with some of the vehicles. It will will continually be up to date, so you can always go here and get all the information that you need for cars. So that's Broughy.com/GTA5cars, or just Broughy.com/GTA5supers, GTA5 sports, GTA5 vans, whatever you want, it will take you straight there. So I'll leave link down below in the description. First line of the description and the pinned comment will have the link for this. Make use out of it. Obviously it's been a bit of work to get it all sorted, but hopefully doing that will allow you to have some better racing in game, and hopefully, if nothing else, just give a better impression of car performance and the fact that lap times and top speeds can muddy the waters a little bit, and sometimes people can think, this got a great top speed. The 811, for example, it's at the very top of the supers class for top speed, but you're not going to use it in a regular race because it's terrible around the corners. Now you can see that the 811 is in class D, and that's pretty far from the top. It's maybe a better representation of its real performance overall. So yeah, hopefully it will help in multiple ways, and maybe not just for those of us who race, but also those who are just interested in how good cars are relative to other vehicles in their class. And certainly the misconceptions that a Cyclone, for example, is quick for supercars. Yes, it's got great acceleration, but it's only in class C overall. You've got plenty of cars in class S, A and B that are quicker. So yeah, hopefully it will help. Check it out. Like I said, link in the first line of the description and the pinned comment. Feel free to browse around that area of the site. Check out all the stuff about cars, the vehicle spreadsheet, and then all the tier lists as well. Check them out for all the classes and see where certain cars rank overall. And yeah, hopefully it will be a help. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for all the support as always. Let me know what you think about it down below in the description, in the comments I should say. And yeah, I'll leave it there for this one. Thank you guys so much for all the support as always, and I'll see you next time. Look at that, that was a good race. So we had a Commodore, a 9F, a Flash GT in the top 3, then another Commodore, a Schafter V12 rounding out the top 5. That's good. I like this class system.